I'm Curt Doty with RealmIQ. This is our podcast, RealmIQ Sessions, where we talk about everything AI with AI leaders from around the world. Today's guest is Mike Guan, co-founder of Final Round, and their product is Interview Copilot, which harnesses the power of AI to ace job interviews from day one to the final round. Welcome, Michael. Let's get into it. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me. Excited to be here. And let me give you a short introduction
Yeah.
on myself and the product we're building. So, the startup we're building is called Final Round AI. Is a end-to-end career copilot platform that basically harness the power of AI to help candidates to navigate through this difficult recruiting season. We develop a suite of tools to help candidates for every single process when they are into this recruiting season, from pre-interview, for example, resume generation, like one-click generation of cover letters, some questions, Q&As about their interviews, to during interview, we have a super intelligent teleprompter in real time for the candidates to help them answer some questions from the interviewers. Post interviews, we have a very powerful summary of the interview sessions to help them, just keep upskilling. At the same time, we develop many interesting features. For example, mock interviews, where let's say you're applying to Tesla, then you will be interviewing directly with Elon Musk, the AI version of Elon Musk, for your mock interviews. So these interesting features help us to gain a lot of traction on different social media channels. We launched in early September, and we start our subscription program in early October, and we already have over 50,000 users, which means we already helped over 50,000 users to ace their interviews and get their dream jobs. So we're super excited to share this product with more communities. And yeah, we're just super excited, and we see huge potential about the technology that we're building and Final Round.
Congrats. That's a terrific buy-in on a new product based on AI.
Thank you.
Out the gate. And you said subscriptions, you're selling subscriptions. It's a subscription model. So that monthly
Yes.
or annual, or because not everyone needs your service after they get the job, right? So
Yes.
it's
Yes.
monthly. Is that the ideal, or hopefully it doesn't take a year for people to get jobs, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we do provide monthly subscription, quarterly subscription, as well as yearly subscription. I would say for candidates in different stages of their career, for example, for let's say a senior in college, they might have a year time to actually take interviews and find their dream jobs. So they are more likely to get our yearly subscription. For certain candidates in career transitions, they might face, maybe 1 to 5 interviews in the next 2 months or so, then they can take our quarterly subscription for sure. And for, users just want to get started, trying to understand what our tool is able to offer, then the monthly subscription is a great starting point for sure.
Okay. Now, you just launched basically, but do you have any data yet on success rates?
Yes.
It may be a
So
fair,
we actually
unfair
received...
question, but I just thought I'd ask.
Yeah. That's actually a great question, and we take that very serious. So we have different kind of mechanisms to follow up with our users, trying to understand how helpful our tool is, right, in different steps of their career preparation. And we're trying to understand whether they are actually getting a job at the end of the day. And we already received tons of reviews and feedbacks from different channels, for example, social media, product hunt. And I have different users sending me the emails of their actual offer letters. So those are the things that makes our team super exciting.
Okay.
And we just keep getting more and more confidence in terms of what we are offering to the market.
That's awesome. And it isn't necessarily for jobs in AI, even though it's powered by AI, it's really for any job. It's really anyone who wants to get coaching from you, basically, right?
Yes.
And then are there trends out there in the, job market that there's a shift towards AI jobs? And then do you also coach on what to do if you want to get a job in AI?
Yes. So we are building some interesting features. We are inviting a select group of users to, most of the time we'll be inviting selected group of users to join our alpha testing for these new exciting features before we make it, generally available. So one of the exciting features we're building is a career consulting center. Basically, you can interact with our AI Copilot, and based on your answer to certain questions and based on your resume cover letters, we will be able to identify what kind of jobs that are best for you, depending on your, previously there are people talking about ENTP, that kind of things, right? And we build up our own standards and try to, just help our candidates to understand what kind of jobs are the best available in the market at the same time that's a well fit for the candidate. And based on that, we also have a job board that can help to match candidates with certain jobs, right? And potentially get a referral because we have a just very strong connection database. And then following up would be a suite of AI tools to help them, just fine tune the resume, generate cover letters, and prepare for the interviews and ace the interviews. So these are some of the products we're building right now. Back to your question, some of the trends we have seen in the market is that the job market is become more and more diverse. The reason I'm saying that is because pre-AI, most of the career preparations are only available for certain type of jobs. For example, those most popular ones like finance, accounting, software developers, right? Project management.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to find career preparation for people coming from, more long tail background, for example, art history, for example, environmental science. There's no structured career plan or career path for people with these backgrounds or students coming from these backgrounds.
Or
But with AI,
English literature or English major.
yeah. So I would say most of the time these candidates, they are just trying to figure out a way to prepare for their careers.
Mm-hmm.
It's very difficult. But now with AI, the AI Copilot will be able to develop a very structured way for the candidates, a personalized way, a customized plan to help these candidates coming from a very interesting, unique backgrounds to prepare for their career, right? And I think this is the power of AI. We're effectively enlarging the market of career preparation.
Yeah. So that's fascinating because you talk about students, even if they're not seniors, right? There's juniors and freshmen that are trying to figure out their majors still. And, switching majors happens all too frequently because they're not either focused or they're not getting great advice or they don't have access to advisors, which is tragic. And so really what you're proposing is that you are that career advisor for students, whether they're a senior or not. You could help them say, look, I'm interested in English and I'm interested in journalism, but I'm interested in tech as well. What do I do? And you're saying you could possibly guide them towards a career because it would take those interests and match them up with the current job market. That's the other thing is that a lot of college prep is ancient and not necessarily tied to the realities of what's happening in the real job market, right? And maybe that was your insight to develop the software, but you're solving a major problem there, and I think that's fantastic. So kudos and congratulations. I recognize that. Myself, I've had a varied career. I started pre-med and then switched to art because I wanted to go into art school instead of medical school. And since going to art school, where I graduated as an illustrator, traditionally trained as an illustrator, I got into graphic design and then broadcast design and then network branding and then marketing and then entertainment marketing and movie marketing and then technology. So I'm just shocked at where I am now in my career versus what I actually studied in school. However, I will say that my art education, which was at Art Center in Pasadena, was pretty fantastic for foundational creative education, meaning teaching you how to think about creativity, thinking about concepts, thinking outside of the box, how to observe. So, and yes, how to design as well. And so I think, I've been able to write a few technology waves and career changes. But man, it would have been nice to have your software years ago when I graduated. So I think your help to students is invaluable. So
thank you.
I'm excited about that. I have I have two boys. They're in their 30s and they're successful in their careers. But, I think other people with their kids in college, it's there's been so much disruption in the job market. It's confusing as what not only what careers they're going for, what are their majors and what are their extracurricular classes and recently certain companies are not requiring college education as a requirement, which is that is a game changer. So now you got to catch kids in high school that says, "Oh, great! I don't want to go to college. I want to go right into a big job at Silicon Valley and do coding or work in AI or some other fascinating career." So there's a lot of turmoil. So I think it's great that you
Yeah,
developed this.
thank you. Just like Elon Musk said, right? With AI, majority of human beings are able to do the jobs they would like to do. They don't necessarily need to, fight for some positions they are not interested in. So I think that fundamentally unlocks the productivity of human beings. We
Hmm.
have seen, 100x, 1000x of many, AI empowered or AI automated workflow, especially sending emails, right? A lot of daily routines of professionals nowadays are involves tons of emails, and simply using ChatGPT, we are already automating and save maybe an hour, 2 hours a day. So I think it's just incredible the
Yeah.
power of AI.
Yeah, there's many new technologies that they just slap that label on there. And AI has been around a while. It's really Gen AI that has really changed
Oh yes,
everything in the last year. So I think that terms is being used loosely by some companies to either gain investment or position whatever. I know when I talk to companies, I talk to a lot of startups. I drill down. It's like, so what do you mean you're AI powered? Let's get into it because you can't just say, oh yeah, we built in algorithms into our feedback mechanism. It's like, okay, well, that's people been doing that for 10, 15 years. So what's the big deal? Netflix, Amazon does that. So you're really able to say AI powered. It's like, so you got to sort through. I mean, I found that I've had to sort through a lot of, tomfoolery when it comes to people using the label in a way that isn't necessarily so. And I'm hoping that investors see through that too, because there's a lot of money flowing into AI companies. And, Gen AI is so new that, it took a while for the market to realize, oh, there's a difference between AI and Gen AI, right?
yeah. AI back then was machine learning mostly.
Right.
But now Gen AI, I think it really unlocks the productivity. It's no longer more like an industrial focused thing. It becomes more available in household level. So everyone, ordinary people can have access to this kind of super productivity tool. Yeah, mostly empowered by OpenAI, I guess.
Yeah. Mostly. There's some other competitors coming into the fray.
Yeah.
But let's just talk about that. So your stack is built on what? LLM. Did you build your own
Yes.
or what?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So for interviews, there are so many different use cases. There are technical interviews, there are more general behavioral interviews, there are interviews that requires tons of, follow-ups, reasoning. So to optimize for different kind of use cases, we develop a router in-house. The router will dynamically route the questions to different kinds of LLMs that we have. For example, we have GPT-4 Turbo with our own vector datasets for coding questions,
Okay.
right? And that will help us to tremendously boost the performance of the LLM because of the vector data sets we have. We also have our fine-tuned Llama 2 for more entry-level, general conversational use case. Then for, more, a lot of conversations, let's say marketing, for consulting that requires a lot of reasoning, empathy, emotion, then it will be using Cloud 2 by Anthropic. So we are just using different kind of LLMs, keep doing A/B testings to make sure that we're optimizing the performance for the users. And I believe this will be a trend in the future because it's hard to simply rely on one single LLM because one LLM might not be optimized for every single use case. So to just deliver the optimized user experience. We're doing this router thing to make sure that we can meet the our own standard and
Yeah,
keep
so
delivering better results.
you're multimodal.
Yes, in
Right?
some way. Yes, exactly.
But the consumer doesn't really know it or care. They're just getting the right answers and the right feedback. But on the back end, you're performing multimodal LLM integration so that you find the best optimized answer for your clients, right?
Yeah, we work with many industry leading interview coaches, some educational institutions, and their contributions and feedback, their input are super helpful for us to identify like whether these questions are actually making sense,
Yeah.
right? Sometimes, without the proper prompt, AI might have hallucination, might create unexpected results. It's a black box. So we are trying to, just get professionals' opinions into whatever the industry verticals that we're working with, the domain knowledge that we need. So basically, with their helps, we are able to deliver optimized results.
Yeah. So you're talking about there's still a human-centered approach towards vetting the questions, developing the questions, and that's based on subject matter experts in the industry that you're talking to.
Yes, I think keeping human in the loop is necessary, at least in the beginning of the Gen AI era.
Yeah, it's the beginning. That's great. And who knows if we'll all be replaced, years from now. I don't think so, but I haven't seen a robot yet. So I don't think I'm getting replaced by a robot. Have you seen a robot around that's taking jobs?
No.
Yeah, it's software, right? It's software.
Yeah, software. I
So
think there are softwares designed to replace human beings. And I think there's a fundamental challenge to that is if in day one they are designed to replace human beings are afraid to pay to use these kind of tools, right? We have seen some sales AI copilots trying to automate the entire process for sales reps, right? Basically making phone calls using AI. Everything is AI. Sales reps just need to set up the pipeline, and then the AI will start to dial and make the cold calls. But there's a fundamental challenge to that is they are simply replacing the role of sales reps, and sales reps are afraid to pay for this kind of tools, right? Nobody are going to pay for a tool that's eventually going to replace them. So I think keeping human in the loop is still super important, and basically just unlock the productivity, right? You can make it 100x the productivity of a user, but you cannot replace the user.
yeah.
I think that is how I envision the future 1 to 2 years would be. Yeah.
Okay, God help us 2 years later. But hey, so we met in a think tank based on impact, and I thought that was a really cool session. And you mentioned a field trip that you went on. Can you talk about that, or do you want to talk about that? Because I thought that was pretty fascinating.
Yeah. So I had opportunity to visit Neuralink facilities and just get exposure into this human symbiosis field. I think they're making great
For our
progress.
viewers, explain what Neuralink is and who owns it and runs it.
Yeah, so Neuralink is basically a company that is putting chips into human brains to unlock some superpowers in the future, right? But right now they're starting with using the chips to provide some solutions to certain disease and disabilities. I think they are making huge progress, and yeah, it's a company founded by Elon Musk. It's just a great, incredible company.
But they're starting with primates, right? Not humans.
Yeah.
Right. With and I think I think it's very interesting. The finding and use case is to help people with disabilities. Like it's somehow providing links that can't be reconnected through birth defects or a car accident or paralyzation of limbs and stuff like that. Is that basically a couple applications that they're trying to do?
Yes. So I think that there are different kind of use cases, right? When they start to put a chip into human brains and have some kind of electric current to affect how the brain will actually react to different kind of signals, and that can effectively change human behavior. So I think they're starting from the disease and disabilities to make sure that the technology is ready, right? And at the same time, that's delivering the most impact, because most people don't need superpower, but there are a lot of people who need, certain solutions to disabilities or disease.
Yeah, I sure hope that that effort can be used to innovate for good, hashtag. And there are doomsday scenarios with soldiers with chips in their head that we have been warned about, let alone Clone Wars, right? But that's in the future. So what do you think about the latest in regulation that came from the EU? The act that finally passed. There's this battle or tension between innovation and regulation. And there's innovators say they don't want to be regulated. Regulators say you need to slow down on the innovation and put some guardrails in there to make sure that what you're doing is not harmful to human beings and society. Which, I think regulation is a good thing. I wish it had been enacted for social media, crypto, NFTs, Web3, but it didn't. And now there's a lot of trouble in all those areas, as you can see. We wouldn't be there if we had early regulation.
Any new technologies, when it first get major adoptions, it's going to go through a lot of critics, I would say, a lot of criticism. Unfortunately, there are people more conservative, there are people more aggressive. So I think it's natural to see, Web3 or even AI are going through this kind of process.
And so, are you okay with regulation? Is it a good thing? It's not hindering what you're doing?
Yeah, I think unfortunately regulations are in place. There will be regulations, and then regulations will change over time. And I think I'm comfortable with regulations for sure, because regulations are in place to make sure that majority of the citizens, the human beings, are protected, at least in some way, right? And I do believe there are many innovators within the regulatory entities that can see the benefits. They can, just evaluate the pros and cons of different kind of new technologies and make sure the regulations are not in a place that will prevent technology from evolving. It's actually in place to make sure that the technology is evolving towards a positive results. So I am pretty comfortable with that.
Okay.
And I think, yeah, and most of the time regulators are late to the game, right? When they see some major adoptions starts, there will be regulator jumping in and start to develop some kind of regulations to protect users. That's totally fine.
Users and data and their personas and their
Yes,
everything they enter into a GPT and LLM. What happens with that information, right? That's
yeah.
That's one of the many concerns, is like people don't really know what happens as these
Well,
GPTs get to know you.
at least,
Right? It's like, oh, okay, but then what are you going to do with that information later? You say, talk in my voice and talk in my tone, talk in my voice. It's like, okay, well, they just learned your voice, right? So what does that mean? Where does that go? The other question I wanted to ask was synthetic media, digital twins. Like I'm not saying that you're doing this, but the technology is there where I can feed into a script, into an avatar of myself that looks just like me with hand movements and everything. And I give them a script and it just recreates like a video of me.
Yeah, we're seeing that in many different use cases.
Yes,
Yeah.
but for job applications. So, it's like, hey, ChatGPT, write me a script, okay, that will help me get the job, right? And then I'm going to submit my digital twin video to nail it, right? At least the first round.
That might be actually the future, right? Because like HRs, they don't even have time to review, tens of thousands of applications.
Right.
Then they need certain AI in place to help them accelerate the process, facilitate this process, screening process. And at the end of the day, it will be some kind of privilege to actually speak to a real human being.
Right. How do we
And
get back to an authentic dialogue, right? Because
yeah,
things can get so automated that the system can be abused, or really this candidate is not the right person. They were given a script and it sounded like they were the right person. Then they end up getting hired, and then they realize, oh my God, this guy's an idiot. How did he how did he get through here? Right? I mean, you can imagine scenarios. So, and again, this has nothing to do with your platform, but I look at these edge cases and potential abuses down the road, and how do we guard against that? I think we should be using AI to fight AI. So I'm hoping not
yeah,
only there's an emphasis on, hey, we detected an AI image, based on some artist work. It's like, okay, why don't you figure out how to detect an AI digital twin video so that people are truthful and authentic in their interview
yeah.
process. I think there's
I think,
opportunity
I
on
think,
the technology side to combat that
yeah.
piracy and you know
But I would say this is inevitable, right? The current talent assessment metrics haven't changed in the past 20 years. It's always resume, cover letter, interview, and then job offer, right? Whether there's a new way, even LinkedIn, right? LinkedIn is developed to better connect people
mhm.
and then develop like one click submission of the application, but still there's an application process,
Yeah,
right? Whether there's a way for AI to automate this process and just human beings don't need to apply for certain jobs. They can be matched into certain jobs, right? Based on their previous experience, the true interest they express in different kind of projects. So those are the things that I think it's going to redefine how, companies are assessing talents, right?
mm,
A lot of Silicon Valley based companies nowadays, they don't look into resume. They don't look into, LinkedIn profile or anything like that. They simply open your GitHub repository and take a look at it, and they will see whether you are working on certain exciting projects. Boom. If yes, boom, you get the offer. That's the case. So I think in the future it's going to be something similar to this. Is definitely the talent assessment metrics is going to change. One of the interesting GPT-based product I saw recently is someone from UC Berkeley. They developed a AI copilot to help students complete homeworks. Right? You can just submit a PDF homework, and then in 10 seconds you have another PDF output with all the answers on it, right? And it's literally impossible to detect whether it's AI generated because it's so advanced. It's using the most recent, GPT-4 Turbo model.
yeah,
So there's no other AI detection tool can detect such behaviors. And then it comes to the question, right? Do we need to change the current educational system, right? Does it really make
absolutely.
sense to keep memorizing things that technically speaking you don't need to, right? You can just use computer to come up with some numbers, right?
Yeah,
So those are the
we've talked
interesting,
about that a lot on this podcast because I've been talking
right?
to people in the educational sector, universities and grade school. And my point of view is this: is like, the tools are there. The kids are going to use them. They should use them. It's another tool, but
Right.
how? And they can use it to learn and gather information and develop their own point of view. So because they're great research tools, right?
Yeah.
So if these kids are truly learning from the research they're using, which has been supercharged, the research process, let's just call it that, then
Yeah.
okay, Mr. Smarty Pants, get in front of class and give a half-hour dissertation on the subject matter that you've been researching. And the proof in the pudding is, are they able to absorb and re-articulate what they've learned and coalesce their own point of view with their own personality in front of a class? It's a Socratic method of instruction, which is ages old, but that's how you turn things around. And it's not the rote memory and a written test or a turn in your essay. I believe, again, the pendulum swinging towards what's an authentic presentation of what you've learned, right? What's an authentic presentation, a candidate applying for a job? Not the pre-application where you could use videos and stuff and train and stuff, but when it gets down to it, eye to eye, face to face, how do I feel about this person, what they know based on a conversation?
Yeah.
Right. And that's another reason why that's another reason why I started this podcast, was to have conversations, right? Because there's a lot of demos out there and they're fantastically produced. There's infographics that are fantastically designed, and there's just so much of it that it's really hard to sort through it. But I think conversations like we're having, I think they're pretty interesting. I think they're engaging and they're authentic, right? You're not your digital twin. I'm not my digital twin. We're having a real conversation.
Yeah.
So
I would say, at least now, right? Although the digital twins looks pretty real, but still you can identify the difference. Yeah, at least there are some gaps. But yeah, I'm not sure in 1 year or two, it's going to be crazy.
It's only going to get better. It's only going to get really slick.
Yeah.
Which, are some great applications for it, right? As long as you're honest about it. And do we need to be honest about it? This is a whole ethics thing, because I see people posting on LinkedIn and they say from the beginning, I'm going to give you a report on the passage of the EU AI Act. Say that 10 times fast. But this is my digital twin. They say it from the beginning, but it looks just real. Like, okay. So, it's saving that guy money and time by just feeding a script to his HeyGen avatar and pumping out content. It's nice that he admits it right at the beginning, but what if people don't? Do people care, or is the information good enough? Again, these lines are all blurred. What if he read a copyrighted manuscript or research paper in his own voice with his own digital twin and didn't say it was digital twin, and people thought, wow, that guy's really smart. It's like, well, he didn't write it, he performed it with a digital twin, and that's copyright infringement. So, gray area, right, with this technology.
Yeah. I think it's going through a very interesting moment right now, that there are people very conservative about the changes. There are people very aggressive about the changes, trying to push all the changes to, literally every single aspect of our daily lives. So I think it's an ongoing debate. It's going to be controversial, but the more controversial it is, there will be more attention into this field.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think we can get to the point a lot faster, at least based on what I understand this market. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Hey, we're entering the end of our time together here, but I wanted to give you a chance to give some information on how people can start using your tool. What's the address? How do people get involved?
Yes. So our website is finaroundai.com. We offer free trial to different kind of AI tools to help you navigate through this difficult recruiting season. So feel free to sign up and get started for free. So far we already helped like 50,000 users in the past 2 months to help them ace their interviews, land their dream jobs. We are super grateful for community members who join us in the early stage, and just thank you so much for this great opportunity. And we look forward to hearing all the feedbacks, keep iterating the product, and just to disrupt the market using the power of AI.
Fantastic. Well, listen, thanks, Mike. And thanks, everybody, for tuning in, and catch more of our RealmIQ sessions on your favorite podcast platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, iHeart Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and YouTube. So please follow and subscribe. Thanks again, Mike. We'll have you back again. Give us the latest updates on your software. Awesome. Thank you.
Sounds good.
Thanks, everyone. You can now catch RealmIQ sessions on your favorite podcast channels, including Spotify, YouTube, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and iHeart Podcasts. Or listen to the full sessions at curtdoty.co/RealmIQ. If your company is interested in reaching an audience of AI professionals and decision makers to promote your event or product, we do have sponsorship opportunities. If you enjoy these discussions on AI, please push that subscribe button below. I'll see you in the next video.
RealmIQ. Book your corporate AI workshop today.
Subscribe to our Media Slam newsletter and learn more about the intersection of design, content, and technology.
CurtDoty.co. Branding, marketing, and product development.